Good afternoon, welcome back to my channel. You'll see I'm wearing my Fantastic Planet t-shirt that I recently acquired. If you haven't seen that video, please go back a few. Crazy 70s animation and a really nice English translated book that came in the post a few weeks back. Now, this is actually a science fiction retirement library on tour episode, and I'll try and show some of the content of where I've been, hopefully videos, if not minimum some of the pictures. So I'm a lucky guy, I've been over to Belfast and the Causeway Coast with my wife and my mum. And we spent a few days up in Carrick Arid, up near there, which is by the National Trust for those that have been, by the famous rope bridge. And obviously we went to the Giant's Causeway, and then I had a couple of days in Belfast and went to Titanic Museum, which was awesome, by the way. Like, so well done, like the best like multimedia experience thing I've probably ever done, to be honest. We were really impressed, pleasantly surprised. But obviously I tried to go to a few bookshops. I didn't have a lot of time, and we were doing other things, touristy things, but I did get to go to two bookshops. One of them was Causeway Books, which is in a place called Bushmills, which was up along the Causeway Coast, which was a very small second-hand bookshop that also did like records and toys, etc. And I did pick up one book there, a relatively good science fiction and fantasy section. And please check it out if you go through a nice little village town, and a nice little bookshop as well. Really nice guy there. And then when we got to Belfast, I went to Keats and Chapman. And Keats and Chapman was the one I really wanted to go to. That was basically the one on my list. And wow, I really loved this shop. So it was a little bit of walk from where we were staying. I'll show you a picture of the outside. But you walk in and it is that old school floor to ceiling treasure trove where you do not know what you would find in there. But it's really well organized as well. So I might even show you a picture of me in the sci-fi section. I think I might have one, but if not, basically really nice science fiction and fantasy section with a huge amount of books. And I just really enjoyed spending, I don't know, 25 minutes. My wife and my mum are not as into it as me, right? So I can stay all day there. And I could have gone into the other areas, but I didn't. I deliberately kind of limited myself, let's say, for a few holiday reads. And at that point we were only hand luggage only as well, so I had to be careful. But this is the stack I got overall. So the bottom one was actually from Causeway Books, and the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9? Yeah, 9 books was from Keats and Chapman. And I've just got some nice things again for the Science Fiction Retirement Library, so I wanted to go through them with you, and also just big up this part of the world. The people are so friendly. It's not a myth. I've been to Ireland before, and also incredibly, I went to Dublin, very friendly people. But Northern Ireland, I don't know, I was just shocked. You literally just went to get some groceries or get some petrol, and people would have a full-on but very warm and authentic conversation with you. And as my mum is, she lost my dad last year, we wanted to take her away, and I think it was just great for her as well, she likes to talk to people, and these people were willing to talk. So it was just a really nice small trip overall, and I got a few books with it. So let's go. So the first one, I actually saw this, it was one of the first books I saw, and I haven't seen it before, but it's Mayflower Dell, Poul Brainwave. It's a little bit battered, I have to say, but I haven't got a copy of this. Pre-barcode, interesting cover, kind of painting. But what I liked about it, especially after what we've been discussing, if you've seen it, the serious review, Flowers for Algernon, etc. A provocative novel of the future when intelligence begins at IQ 150. Now, that's just a really, really good concept, I think. So yeah, so this is one I'm looking forward to reading. It's definitely a reader copy, let's say. But yeah, December 1965. So although it's battered, it's actually pretty good nick for its age. And I've just never seen that one before. I've got a huge amount of Poul Anderson, but not read a lot. But I really like that idea. you know there's kind of all those silly, jokey things about, well, if everyone was a certain IQ and EQ, then the world would be a better place. Well, maybe that's the thought experiment, the book I need to read. So what I'm going to flick through. So that was from Keats and Chapman, but I'm just going to go back to the one I got in Causeway Bay first, because it's one I wouldn't normally pick up, but it was such a good deal. So hardback, short stories or novelettes for Peter F. Hamilton. Now, I can't remember what book I read. I did read Peter F. Hamilton a long time ago, one of the smaller ones, and I did try to read Pandora's Star when I was, I don't know, in my 20s as part of a book club, and it was huge, and I did start to like it, but I did drop it. And he is one guy that when people are fans, they are diehard fans. So he's definitely got something about him. But I thought this was £2.50. £2.50. It's like pristine. Really nice cover as well, kind of drew me in. Yes, it's modern. Macmillan, 2011. Manhattan in Reverse, it's called. And basically, Peter F. Hamilton starts the introduction with, I'm not the most prolific of short story writers. I do enjoy the form, but novel writing takes up most of my time. If you know Peter F. Hamilton, his books are incredibly long and very detailed. So short stories maybe isn't natural to him, but that's why I wanted to have a look. So consequently, I get to write about one story a year if I'm lucky. So this one actually has, what's that, 7? And I'm reading Replay still, so this is coming out later, so I would have finished it by the time. But that's what I took with me to Belfast. But I thought, well, on the side, I could start this. I actually didn't, because I had a poetry book with me, but I just thought £2.50. You know, someone's got rid of that, and it's got a few little bits of dings, but almost pristine. So I couldn't give up. So that was from Causeway Books. Back to Keats and Chapman. So I've put them in bags, by the way, because this is how sad I am. And I've had some people who watch my channel, some subscribers or some commenters, saying, where do I get my bags from? Because they're like gold dust in the UK, which they really are, like gold dust in the UK. And I told some of my commenters that I get them from the US. So I actually did a trip to the US late last year and I got a batch of them, and it's kind of seen me through. I'm nearly running out, but the other thing I do is actually get them sent from the US if I can't find them in the UK. So, but the way I do that to save a bit of money is I go through a thing called myus.com, which is a consolidator service, really. You don't get massive savings, but you could buy things from different e-tailers or retailers in the US and get them sent to address that you have. It's actually in Sarasota in Florida, and then you get it all sent over to you by FedEx or DHL in one box. So you can get books from eBay sellers, and you know, I've got clothes for my wife, for example, before, and also, you know, I got rare comics and things like that. So that's where I'm currently still going through the BCW bags. But this is Spacial Delivery Gordon R. Dickson. Now it has got that here, which I'm not sure I'll try to get off, because even if I do, I'm pretty sure the colour's going to be very different after. But on Earth, he was a decathlon winning athlete. On Dilbia, he's the half pint posted. See, posted, is that posty? I read that as posty originally, like he's a tiny delivery man. But again, pretty old. There was a lot of Gordon R. Dickson actually there. And I don't know if that's the original bookshop, but they did like an exchange, etc. Really good. So this is £3, and Ace Books, 1961. This is 1979 print. So a lovely little paperback with just an interesting, maybe playful type concept. But yeah, I wanted to pick that up. So in the good old days, when you were dispatched to rescue a maiden distressed by monsters, they usually gave you a suit of armour and a mighty steed. Well, times have changed. John Tardy didn't volunteer to do battle for maiden fair. He didn't know about the battle until he was in it. And no suit of armour either on Dilbia. It's bare hands, even when your opponent has the size, strength and temperament of a hungry Kodiak bear. I will definitely read these strange tales at some point. So that was one Gordon R. Dickson. This is the next Gordon R. Dickson, and I got this because the condition I thought was pretty good. It's got a bit of a lean on it. And I actually haven't seen this before. Definitely haven't seen this cover before. So the problem when I open this is that I actually rip the tape because it's that soft stick stuff. So, powerful novel of war in the far future, naked to the stars. The soldiers ruled Earth's empire, but a man still owned his soul. So proper adventuresome there. So pretty good condition again for the age. It has got a bit of a spine roll, and the coloured purple has kind of faded a little bit, but still good. £3 again. Most things, there were some that were £1.50, but mainly the paperbacks, the vintage paperbacks, £3. And this was 1961 as well. I think it says 1961 Lancer book. I think this is probably later, but it hasn't got the print on it. I did look at the database, and I'm sure I put it in my tracker as slightly later, but that's a really good one. Again, haven't read Gordon R. Dickson. I've got a nice little collection coming now. 16 hours were missing from the memory of Cal Truant. All of the names are pretty similar, aren't they? 16 hours that meant he could no longer function as an assault soldier. Something had happened to him during those 16 hours, but he could not let the service find out what. Great. Okay, next one is another Gordon R. Dickson. Just get it out of its protector. And this is probably the best, apart from Peter F. Hamilton, this is the best condition yet. And I don't know if I've got this. I've got some of the Dorsai. I don't know if I've got this one. Something told me that I haven't got this one, or I definitely haven't got this edition. 5 against 3,000, renowned throughout the galaxy as the finest soldiers ever born, the men of Dorsai have been hired by El Conde, sovereign of Gebel Nahar, to transform his raggle-taggle army into a fighting force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I think that's a whole series. Looks unread. Okay, so slightly later, 1984, Sphere. But nice, and a nice kind of Robocop-esque cover. So great. Okay, so that's 1, 3, 4, 5 down. And I'm saying, I don't know if they get better as I go through, but this one's nice condition again. And Lloyd Biggle Jr. So I haven't got a lot of Lloyd Biggle Jr., especially in paperback. I think have I got hardback? I don't know, but he's old school. I think that's in my head that he's old school. And this is The World Menders. Definitely read. A little bit of a creased spine. An Arrow, and you know I like the old Arrow. Again, £3. Again, Keats and Chapman. And this was 1975. Democracy imposed from without is the severest form of tyranny. Read the motto that hung on every wall of the base. But cultural survey trainee said Ferrari, sent in as an observer to Branagh 4, was beginning to have his doubts about the value of non-interference in alien societies. So, yeah, really nice. And look at that, it's kind of a Neolithic or, you know, proto-human as well. So, interesting. Another good one. So, I got an E.E. Doc Smith, and I don't know if this is an upgrade or I've got it. I think I haven't got it, but it's almost, it's unread, it's pristine. And I think this was £3 as well. So I've got a few of most of the series, I think, Lensman and Family d'Alembert, and I do need to read them at some site. They just look so much like fun. They look enjoyable things to read, and that's just a great cover. So this is, I don't think this is first, the Clockwork Traitor. So I do probably want to look at them in order, and a lovely Foss cover again. Nice. So volume 3 in the Family d'Alembert series, and this is 1977. So to be honest, the quality of that is like the standard I would like for the whole Family d'Alembert series. Like, that was just kind of thrown in a corner, but it's gorgeous, and it's really shiny cover as well. So very happy with that E. Doc Smith. Last 3. Yeah, I saw this one pretty early. Jack Vance. I haven't got a lot of Jack Vance. And this one is the Pnume. I presume it's Pnume with a silent P. Mayflower Science Fantasy. So only really have Moorcock in there, Science Fantasy. And it's the final volume in the Planet of Adventure series. So I think this is the only one I've got of that. But there's City of the Shash, Servants of the, can't say it on YouTube, and the Dur. Cover is by Peter Goodfellow, very fantastical. And they're always interesting when it's a fantastical environ and then you've got like a piece of text somewhere, like a fallen spaceship. Again, exchangeable, £3. 1970, so it's a 1976 reprint. So yeah, again, kind of looks, inside looks unread, outside just looks a little bit grimy, but happy with that. Cool. And that's all the paperbacks I got from Keats and Chapman. I keep needing to look so I don't make a mistake. And then I got a couple of hardbacks, and I think both of them are, no, they're not book club, I'm not sure. But this kind of caught my eye. Again, Gordon R. Dickson, but it's a hardback, Space Winners. And it's a really strange cover, in my mind. Look at that, it's a boy and a girl, a rocket and a shark. But he's playing with the shark. So that's what attracted me. Really grimy on the back. And look, yeah, withdrawn, sold. So it looks like a library book, or maybe was in a school somewhere. But £4, Faber and Faber. And I think this is the first edition. Oh, it's got Belfast Public Library stamp on the top. It was a little Jim Rawlins thought at last on Sunday night, like being the fastest gun west of Tombstone. To his utter amazement, Jim Rawlins was one of the 3 students chosen from the United States to study the Galactic Federation of the Aliens. Say it in simple terms. So yeah, Faber and Faber. That was a nice one, £4. And then the last one, Bolo or Bolo probably, The Annals of the Dinochrome Brigade by Keith Laumer, which I've got a lot from my hoards, but I haven't got any hardback. And what you'll see inside here is, Mum bought me a bookmark from the Titanic Museum. And as I say, that was just an awesome, anyone that gets to go there, it's very touristy, obviously, but the investment in the area is mind-blowing, and the way they've done it, multimedia, technology, with, you know, old antiques, whatever, it's just so well done, and the narrative through the journey is really well done, and we all really enjoyed it. So that's my bookmark. And this is my last book, which is this one, book club? No, this is Millington. So I don't really know much about Millington, but 1976 copyright. This first British edition published 1977, so this one, Millington Books Limited, London. This book is dedicated with affection and respect to Ben Bover. So this is short stories. So again, 7 short stories seems to be the golden touch. And haven't read any Laumer. This is very kind of heavier paper. Like, reminds me of old school books. But yeah, Keith Laumer is one of the great new popular and prolific sci-fi entertainers to emerge in the 60s. So really nice to end on. So that's my stack. Mini book haul, but very happy with that. I think average was like, I don't know, £3 a book, £3.50 a book. Can't remember how much this was. So it's £4. £4 for a hardback from the 60s or 70s, £3 for a paperback from the 60s or 70s, and £2.50 for that Peter F. Hamilton from 2011. So spent a bit, but happy with that. So yeah. Thank you, as always. Like, subscribe, share, and there's a lot of things coming up after this that I'll share in one of my posts. But thank you again for following me on my journey, and check out these bookshops and the Titanic Museum and the Causeway Coast. It is stunning if you're ever in Northern Ireland. Cheers.